For video 11, we had to read the article, The Need for Roots. And in this article, it talks about the needs of the soul. That includes various aspects of it. And these aspects included obligations and rights, order, liberty, obedience, responsibility, equality, hierarchism, honor, punishment, freedom of opinion, security, risk, private property, collective property, and truth. Since there are a lot of information that goes into those, I chose to talk about the main points of the ones that stood out to me. So for obligations, the notion of obligations comes before that of the rights. And the rights is subordinate and relative to the former of it. And a right is not effectual by itself, but only in relation to the obligation. Rights are always found to be related to certain conditions, and obligations remain independent of conditions, so that you can see the difference between those two. It states how all human beings are bound by identical obligations, which are eternal, unconditional, and have no foundation. The list of obligations towards human beings should correspond to the list of such human needs that are vital. And so it states how there are physical obligations and those concerned with the moral life. The moral life obligations are more difficult to recognize, but everyone recognizes that they exist. And so the physical obligations could include like hunger, medical needs, shelter, stuff like that. The degree of respect owing to human collectivities is a very high one for several reasons, and they list the reasons. First of all, each is unique, and if destroyed, it cannot be replaced. 2, because of its continuity, a collectivity is already moving forward into the future. And 3, due to the same continuity, a collectivity has its roots in the past. So then it talks about order. Order is the first of the soul's needs, the one which touches the most nearly its eternal destiny. And it defines it as a texture of social relationships such that no one is compelled to violate imperative obligations in order to carry out other ones. So it stated before how order is the first need of all, and it says it even stands above all needs properly so called. To be able to conceive it, we must need to know what the other needs are. So it says that needs are limited, and needs are arranged in antithetical pairs and have to combine together to form a balance. The next root that I thought was interesting was liberty, how it consists in the ability to choose. Rules should be sufficiently sensible and sufficiently straightforward. They should emanate from a source of authority. They should be stable. The next one defined was obedience. It says that there are 2 kinds of obedience. The first kind of obedience is that obedience establishes rules, and the second one is obedience, the type of obedience that humans look towards for leadership. I think the one that I related the most to was risk. And that's just because I guess you can say, like, as college students, people are always there on their own, and there are a lot of like risk factors that play into it. And so it says risk. The absence of risk produces a type of boredom, which paralyzes in a different way from fear. There is a gambling aspect to it and represents the finest possible stimulant. So that's why I believe a lot of people take part in risks, is because it gives them excitement. And it says the absence of risk weakens courage to the point of leaving the soul. And so I think it just gives people more meaning to their life and helps it from being boring. The next aspect that I thought was interesting was the freedom of opinion, in which people are not obligated, but have the right to have their own opinion. And I just think that this is, other than risk is the one that I could relate to more, but I think this is the most important one, because everybody has their freedom to their own opinion. And if everybody's opinion was identical to each other, then there wouldn't be any diversity or any diversifying opinions in which people like speak out for it. So I thought this article was very interesting because I never thought as like the roots stemming from this many things. And I thought it was like, I hadn't realized it before, but once I was reading through it, it caught in my mind more about how there are different aspects in life that people like obtain as their rights, and I just thought that was really cool. Thank you.